This is B section, ladies and gentlemen. It's our leaders section. Prisoners that were allowed to go in here, it was us from the kitchen when bringing food inside here. But the guard in charge of the section, when he opens that door over there, he will search you. He must open the ports to see what is inside there. Very strict when it comes to the section. They play sport here, they exercise here. They were not allowed to play sport with other sections, always inside here. The two black poles that you see over there, they will either hang a tennis or a volleyball net in this section. And Mr. Mandela, very good in tennis. They use tennis balls also to smuggle information outside this section. You've got A section inside, this one is B. They will take the tennis ball and cut it, a very small cut. And take a message, written in a piece of paper, push it inside the tennis ball. They will hit it inside, and they'll get a message. That's how the two sections communicated. The pictures here in front, these are some of the leaders also who stayed in this section. They came here in 1995 during our reunion to come and visit their section. Clarence Makwetu of the PAC and African Congress. Dr. Wilton Mugwai of the ANC, he was doing life sentence in this section. Michael Dinake from Botswana, he helped our guys in and out of Botswana as we were fighting in this country. He went back to Botswana for the release and was elected in the parliament of Botswana. And this one here is Andimba Toivo of Swapo from Namibia. Remember I said we stayed with those of Swapo? They are leaders also in this section. The picture in the middle was taken in the early 60s by the International Red Cross Committee. They were allowed to come and inspect our prison. Some of our guys sitting, chopping stones from the quarry. The stones that build this prison. The stones you can see in every one of this prison, this slate on the wall. They come from the stone quarry. They are even called the blue stones. Buildings around Cape Town, stones like that, you should know they come from Robben Island. We do have one there in Cape Town. It's a museum. Some of you have visited that place. They call it the castle of Good Hope. The stones around the castle come from Robben Island. In this picture here is Nelson Mandela. He's standing next to Walter Sisulu. Walter Sisulu was a close friend of Nelson Mandela. He was a senior to Mandela, and he recruited Mandela to join in the ANC when Mandela arrived in Johannesburg as a young man. If you want to know more about Mr. Mandela, how he grew up as a young boy, how he was at school, at the college, when you arrived at the college, that college was a missionary school. The headmaster there was a white guy. And when Mandela arrived, he was asked a name. And he said, I am Rolihlahla Mandela. That is his name. He was born Rolihlahla, but a difficult name for the headmaster. So he was given a name at the college. And the name was Nelson. That's how he got the name. He passed very well. He then went to Fort Hare University. That university is in the Eastern Cape province. He was doing law there. He was with his cousin, same university. And the father was a chief in the village estate in there. Second year while Mandela doing law, the father called the two young men. He sat down with them. Actually, he wanted them to get married. In our African culture at the time, if you had to get married, the family had to choose a woman for you in that village. Mandela and his cousin, they didn't like that idea. So they ran away from home. They went to Johannesburg. Arriving there, they worked in the gold mines. Third week, while working in the mines, the guy in charge there happened to know about these two young men. He was from the same village they come from. He knew their father, and he chased them away. They lost their job. The cousin of Mandela took his own ways around Johannesburg. Mandela left alone, no place to stay around Johannesburg, until he met Walter Sisulu. Walter was a businessman and one of the leaders of the ANC around Johannesburg. He stayed with Mandela. All that information, if you want to know more about it, read the book that he started writing in this section. The original manuscript of that book were found when they started building this wall here behind me, over that corner there in the garden. They were hidden there, but they were discovered by the authority, taken into the offices. They were not happy about those old men. But later then they realized one amongst them will be released very soon. Mr. Mac Maharaj. He is a spokesperson in the president's office today. They then sat down and started writing another one, similar to the one taken into the offices. They gave it to Matt Maharaj on his release day. Once you release, they search you. But Mr. Maharaj was good in hiding. He went out with those scripts. But they could not be printed here at home because we were a banned organization, an illegal organization. We couldn't operate freely in this country. It was in the 70s. So he went to London, in England, and it's where it was printed into a book and published while Mr. Mandela is still here in this prison. And the book is called Long Walk to Freedom. A very interesting book. It's in any language around the world, that book. Any language also here at home. If you don't want to read the book, you can watch the film, Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. From that corner over there, the fourth window, 1, 2, 3, 4, is where Nelson Mandela have spent 18 years in that small cell. You must remember, he was sentenced for life in prison. He stayed for 27 years all in prison. So 18 from that 27 here in Robben Island in that small cell. In other words, he was here from 1964 until 1982. In 82, out of Robben Island, he was with Walter Sisulu, Ahmad Kathrar, Wilton Mukwai, Raymond Mhlaba, Andrew Mlangeni, about 6 of them. They were taken to Polsmo prison here around Cape Town. And while they're in Polsmo, the government, yes, wanted to release them, but on conditions they renounce violence, not attend political meetings, and should report daily to the police. But they refused to be released on those conditions. They were only released in 1989, and it was because of pressure. People fighting this country, unconditionally, they went outside. But Mandela was not released. He was taken to another prison called Victor Verster, just outside Cape Town in Paarl. He stayed there. And while he was there, everybody all over the world wanted to see Mr. Mandela being a free man outside prison. That's when the government decided to release him in 1990 on the 11th of February, unconditionally also. And many of us followed thereafter. And we started negotiating for a peaceful settlement of this country. No more war now. Peace in this country. All the negotiation teams that we had in this country that made it possible that we stop war in this country. We don't fight anymore. Hence we are such a peaceful country today, South Africa. In Mr. Mandela's cell, the 2 mats, they were sleeping on the floor. It was before the beds were introduced, of course. Some blankets nicely wrapped. There's also a brownish bucket that they use as a toilet when locked inside there. The one with the toilet inside is the one that was used by the guard in charge of the section. You take your bucket out every morning, clean it, leave it outside to get dry. Coming back from the quarries in the afternoon, you take your bucket this side, your last meal of the day, you go in there, they lock it in your cell. That's how they stay in this section. I'm going to give you a chance to see Mr. Mandela's cell. Those of you with cameras will take pictures. I'll be standing in the passage inside there. You finish taking pictures, you come to me, I'll take you outside and you wait for the bus to go around the island. And that is the end of the prison tour, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for visiting Robben Island. Thank you very much. Thank you.